So as a professional psychic medium, I spend all day, every day, doing readings for people and connecting them with their own personal team of guardian angels on the other side, called spirit guides, along with their deceased loved ones. And in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, I started noticing a change in my readings, and I started noticing a pattern among them. People's deceased loved ones usually come through with advice for them that's going to help them on their path or bring them healing in some way. If your deceased loved ones don't like your romantic partner, they'll make it clear. If they have career advice for you, they will talk to you about that. They still have the same thoughts, feelings, ideas, and opinions they had when they were alive on this earth plane. So they always come across with messages for you that will help you, or advice they have for you. Well, lately, people's deceased loved ones have been coming through telling them to vote for Bernie Sanders. And I started noticing this more and more, whether it was their grandmother, grandfather, brother, mother, whoever was on the other side, they would come through and they would bring up Bernie Sanders. And at that point, that's when I realized that this election was much bigger than you and I. That the collective consciousness was all on the same page with regards to who our highest good was for the next president. So I would hang up the phone after a reading, and the people's deceased loved ones would stick around and start coaching me on my life. They would start saying, okay, Christine, time management's going to be really important for you right now, and you need to do this and you need to do that. And I'm like, why are you coaching me on time management? And they would say, for Bernie. It's really important that you step up to the plate for Bernie. You have to speak for him. You have to speak for us. And so they started coaching me. And then I get an email from somebody telling me that she was in the middle of a tarot card reading and somebody's grandmother came through and told her to vote for Bernie. So see, it's starting to happen in other people's readings too. So it makes me realize how connected we all truly are. And so in one of my readings today, I did 14 readings today because I worked an event, but in one of my readings today, this person's deceased loved one came through and said, tell her, tell her to, campaign for Bernie. Tell her to talk about Bernie. Like tell her to keep his name alive, like a volleyball, like keep his name up in the air, spread the word, post things on social media about him, just talk about him. And I said, why do you want her to talk about Bernie Sanders? Like, why? It was like, divine intent. You have to align her with divine intent. It'll help her. And I said, oh, that's why. So then everything really started to make sense in how your deceased loved ones are trying to help you. So I decided to make this video explaining what these deceased loved ones were doing. The divine set an intention for this election, saying, I want Bernie. And when the divine sets an intention, it means that the other side is on the same page because the divine rules the roost. Your deceased loved ones are angelic beings who reside on the other side, right? So these are your deceased loved ones hanging out on the other side. This is us hanging out down here in our little mortal bodies. We'll just call this the lower self. Hanging out here in our little imperfect mortal bodies, right? And so we're sitting here wanting to talk to, our deceased loved ones on the other side and say, hey, right? So your deceased loved ones do not have mortal bodies like we do, okay? They're angelic beings, and they are on the same page with this divine intention, okay? Your soul also has a part of it that lives on the other side with your deceased loved ones. Did you know that? That is why when your deceased loved ones come through in readings, they are not like, oh my God, I miss you so much. They're not freaking out. because they have your higher self all to themselves on the other side. They have you in your most perfect angelic form hanging out with them on the other side. That's why this is called the collective consciousness. What's the difference between you and a dead person? Not much, baby. Not much. The only difference between you and a dead person is the fact that you have a mortal body. Because when your mortal body dies, what happens to this part of your consciousness? It goes back up and rejoins your higher self. So your deceased loved ones don't have a body. So they're just hanging out here as angels, higher selves. Your higher self does have a mortal body. So it's like half of your soul and then the other half of your soul hanging out. It's like a split consciousness, for lack of a better way to say it. So I have the ability to channel the living via their higher self and the deceased via their higher self. And they feel the exact same. They feel the exact same. Why? Because they are the exact same. They are the exact same. Higher self is a higher self, whether you have a mortal body or not. So your deceased loved ones are all hanging out with your higher self. Now, what does this mean if this is the collective consciousness? If this cloud up here is considered the collective consciousness, what does this mean? If the divine sets an intention and the collective consciousness is on the same page with the divine, that means everybody's higher self wants Bernie Sanders to become president, and so do your deceased loved ones, because they live on the other side too. So suppose this person's walking around saying, I want Bernie Sanders to become president. Do you know what that tells me? That tells me that they are connected to their higher self. It means their higher self is influencing them. They're sending them intuitive downloads, influences, compulsions, feelings in their gut, feelings in their heart, feelings in their soul. Bernie's supposed to be president. Vote for him. So when someone's walking around saying Bernie Sanders is the faux shizzle Saint Nizzle, I know they're connected to their higher self. These people that are walking around talking about other candidates, I know that this connection sucks. I'm going to immediately know that your connection to your higher self, gone. Not listening to your heart, not listening to your soul, not listening to your gut, not listening to your intuition. Because there's a part of your soul that is following divine intent. So when your deceased loved ones come through and say, tell her to, align herself with divine intent, tell her to align herself with divine intent, what is your deceased loved one trying to help you with? The law of attraction. If you align your lower self with divine intent and you start posting photos of Bernie Sanders on your social media, whatever, just saying, love this guy or whatever, vote for him, he's the bomb. Pray for Bay is my favorite thing. If you just speak about him, just speak, write blog articles, whatever, you are keeping his name up in the air like a volleyball, and you are directly, by speaking your truth and supporting Bernie Sanders, you are directly aligning yourself with the divine intent, which means you are stepping into the positive energy flow of love and light and helping to manifest everybody's highest good. And so what happens? Forces of nature rise up to support you in doing that. And bam, you just triggered the law of attraction. So now you have just attracted positive things onto your path because you've directly aligned yourself with the collective consciousness and divine intent. Bam, that's the perfect time to start power manifesting. Write down what you want in a soulmate. Write down that car you want. Write down that house you want. That's when you start power manifesting and fantasizing what you want, because you have that universal energy on your side. Your deceased loved ones are trying to align you with divine intent to help you with your life and help you on your path, because they know the benefit of being directly aligned with the divine intention. And that's why that advice is coming through in that reading today. So I thought that was pretty profound. If you are still feeling the burn, congratulations. It means this is fantastic, because the way your higher self communicates with you is with that, compulsion and that feeling in your heart and your soul, and just that deep knowing that Bernie Sanders is aligned with the truth and the light, and he is everyone's highest good manifest. So I hope you all continue to align yourself with the divine intent and support Bernie Sanders, despite the fact that he's not currently the nominee. We're all being called to act on our faith and our inner guidance at this point, and really just know in our hearts and souls what we know to be true. And in the meantime, take care and be well. Thank you.